Okay, so today we're going to create a drawing of the automatic stop box from a previous video. In order to do that, first thing you want to do is open up the stop box, and then also don't forget to manage session, set your working directory to where you want to create your drawing. There's a couple of times that we're going to need to be careful of this, but I will explain it as we go. So I'm going to go File, New, Drawing. I'm going to call it MS1004-01 because that's the drawing number I'm looking for the project. We're going to hit OK. We're going to select Empty with Format. Then we're going to browse for whatever formats we have. My students have created some formats. I would definitely start with either a C or a D size, a pretty complex drawing. So we're going to need a handful of views to show everything. So I'm going to start with the C. If it turns out the C isn't big enough, then we'll go through the exercise of changing it. So I'll go C, and I'll hit OK. Alright, and right now, my stop box, and I'm just going to open up my Word document. I haven't set up any parameters from the previous lesson, so I'm just going to type them in now. So the material is going to be cast iron. Text 4, primary line 2, nothing. Title is going to be automatic stop box. If that doesn't fit, we'll move it. No, line 2. Next assembly I didn't give, so I'm going to put a dash. Drawn by is me. Rev is a dash. Drawn date is today. There we go. It looks like it fit pretty well, so I'll leave that as is. So now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a general view. Right-click, click General View. I'm going to turn off Combined State. It's not something we're using right now, so rather than have it keep popping up, I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to place it. And for me, the clearest view right off the bat is the one that we made as the front right here. So I'll put that in. I'm going to check my scale. 0.5 looks okay. So I'm going to unlock my views. I'm going to move this one right around here. And I know I need to see this side over here. And then I'm going to need to see the back. So that's probably going to go over here too. So let's project that. So I'll click it, pick Project, Side View, click that one, Project, Back View. Okay. Then just kind of thinking out loud here. I'm going to need somewhere where I can see the holes for the mounting pattern, and then the hole that comes down through the top here. I move this down. I'm going to need a top view somewhere. I could put it here, and put it here. Let me use it off this one. Alright, now I can see this cutout here, this mounting pattern here. I think I'm in pretty good shape. And then I also need an isometric view. I'm going to right click, General View, put it right up there, and hit OK. Now, I'm going to hold Control. I'm going to select every one of my views. I'm going to go into Properties, and I'm going to turn my view display to No Hidden and Dimmed and apply it. The reason I'm not going to use hidden lines on this is that I don't think they're really adding any value. As you can see, if I add the hidden lines, it just makes this a heck of a lot more complex looking. It doesn't necessarily make it clearer in any way. So I'm going to go No Hidden, hit OK. My ISO shouldn't have hidden lines either way. And then I'm going to start walking through my part and making my drawing. So let's start by going up to Annotate, Show Model Annotations, Dimensions. I'm going to pick Extrude 1. That's going to give me a lot of dimensions. And I think a lot of these are probably going to show up on this front view. So I'm going to definitely want just about every one of these. So this. I'll go through and click them just in case I come across one that we don't necessarily want. But I think we set up our model well enough where we're going to want to keep most of these. So I'll accept them all, hit OK. Just kind of pull these out to clear them up a little bit. Just fix some things so it looks nicer. Grab my extension line where needed. Give myself a little gap. This guy up. Now this kind of clues me in. I'm going to need some axes in a second. Put that up there. And this 0.616. I'm going to move that down. And I'm actually going to flip the arrows here. Whoop, this one. Flip the text. Pull this one out. This one doesn't really look too great like that either. Well, we'll mess with that later. Now, show model annotations. I'm going to turn on all the axes I plan on showing in that view. So I'll just pick datums up here, and I'll pick the view. And I definitely want the center of that. I definitely want the center of this. And I'm going to put these two mounting holes on here as well, because that's the best view for those. And then I'm going to hit OK. All right, now I can fix my extension lines for the rest of this. Pull this up. You know what? I'm actually going to expand this out. So you can click the center of an axis and then get this little move tool and go up and to the right, and I can make it scale up uniformly so that it covers my outside arc as well. Pull that down like that, give a real clear dimension for how far apart those axes are. And I definitely need to clean this up as well. So there. This one looks pretty good as is. Okay. This one needs to be cleaned up as well. Drag those down. And these little fine-tuning moves, moving these axes around, are going to make the drawing look a million times better. Go back up to Annotate, Show Model Annotations, Dimension, Extrude 2, which was that little cutaway we made there. So I'm going to select that. Let's go down to Extrude 3 because I think that only has one dimension as well. Yep, there's our 7-inch dimension. I'll click that and hit OK. Now, because of the rounds on this part, it's not necessarily a bad place to show those, but it might not be the clearest. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to move this 7 dimension up to here because I think that's a little clearer to show the full width of the bottom here, of sort of the mounting pad of this thing. And then 7.76 is probably fine. I think I might save this view for just showing this flange. So I'm actually going to hold Control, select both of these. I'm going to move both of them up here and see how that looks. So my 7.76 could go out like this. You know what? It actually probably would look better if I move my views over. Give myself a little room. Pull this guy over here. And then use the 0.38 to show the difference. Lock it right in place. And then I'm going to flip the text or flip the arrow as well. That looks pretty good. Now I just need to move. If I select both of these, all these will move together. That actually probably wasn't the best thing to do. It's okay. Clean it up after. Let's move these extension lines over. Okay, so when my extension lines are set up properly, I'll keep moving my way down. Show model annotations, dimension. Just did Extrude 3, so Extrude 4. That's our cut back to here. That's probably, might be a good view to show it. I'll pick that. Extrude 5, there's our width. That looks pretty good. And as I look at this, probably not as clear to show it down the bottom here. I could show it up here. But I do kind of like, oops, bring that back. I hit OK. I do kind of like it on this view because most of the stuff on this view is going to focus on the centerpiece. So I'll pull that up. Pull this guy up as well. You know what? I'll pull both of these up together. So I'll hold Control, select them both, pull them up so all of them are the right length right there. and then I'll let go. Just select the 2.76 and drag that down. And I'll go back to show model annotations. That was what? Extrude 5, extrude 6. Is our cutout on the back, is how far that little cutout sticks in right up here. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, being that it lines up with this so nicely, I actually don't even need that dimension. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn them both on to make sure that we can see them. And I'm going to move it over to this view for that 1 inch. So then let's open up our part. So I'm going to open up my part and go over to this cut. Okay, and if I know a surface that was created by the cut, I can just select it and edit it, or it'll at least tell me what extrude it is, and I can edit it over here. And instead of going 2 inches, we're going to actually go up to surface and just extrude it right up to there. And if we hit OK, nothing's going to fail. And then we'll save and close out. So now my 2 inches gone. I still have this, which is the number I did want. And I like the arrows like that, but as you can see, I need an axis now. So, show my datum axes, click that, put the axis in for that hole, that rounded feature, and then I'm just going to adjust this to match up with my axes. So that looks pretty good. Now let's go down to extrude 7. Oop, gotta go to dimension. Whoops, sorry about that. And that's for my flange, so I'm definitely going to want that. Definitely going to want this 3 inches. Definitely going to want the thickness of it. Hit OK. I think actually the thickness may be clearer on another view. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it up to here and pull it out the other side. Just like that. That's a heck of a lot more clear. Where it is, we'll see if it'll work with our bolting pattern. And if it doesn't, I'll move it back over here. Not a problem. So that looks good. This I definitely want to format the text. And put a 2x in front of it with a space. Say that there's 2 radiuses that apply to that. This 3 inch dimension is kind of tough. I'll show you a little trick I like to use if I have this sort of situation. Pull this down, pull the 3 inch down. Over here, if we pick the extension line, hold right click, insert break, break from here, click to here, and now I have a little break line there to show that that dimension still goes there, but you can still see the 2.88. I could also move it somewhere else. I can move the 2.88, but I don't know that it's as clear on any of the other views. So we're going to leave it just like that. Show model annotations dimension. That was 7, I believe. Yep. So we'll go 8, and 8 is our flange for the side. I'm going to select all of them this time, so I'm just going to hit the checkbox, apply, close out of it. Ooh, no, it unselected everything for me. That's okay. I'll fix it. So I'm going to hold control and get all the stuff that I think has to do with my flange. That's basically all the dimensions we can have. Right click, move to view, move them over here. And then this little dimension here showing how far it sticks out, I can probably utilize my other view for that. So I'll move that over to this view. Actually, it's probably more clear if I pull it up this way, since those kind of blend in at the bottom due to tangency. So I'm going to have a kind of a duplicate dimension here because of my center board. So I'll click that, delete it, and I'll pull this over here. And all I'm doing when I'm dragging it around is if I right click, I can flip the arrows. You can also flip the arrows over here. I believe. Here, no. Here, flip arrows. But then you can only do it once. So I like to select it, move it around, and while I'm holding down left click, I can click right click and move it. Alright. Same with that. Flip that out there. Dimension text, going to need a 2 times in front of that one. There we go. That's the arrow I wanted. 4.76 to the center. That's okay, but I need an axis. So show model annotations, datums. Pick this view. Pick the axis. I'm going to need it for the other holes too. I'll hit OK. And then for this axis, I'm going to just drag it out to the outside radius. Okay. I can grab this, drag it down for the center, drag this down. Now what I like to do across views is kind of line up dimensions by eye, like that. Looks good. Seems pretty clear. Pull that away a little bit. I could do a detail view as well there. Wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know that it's necessarily bringing a lot to the table for me. So that looks pretty good. Go back to dimensions. That was extrude 8, I believe. So now we can move through our holes. So hole number 6, that was the one in the top here. I'm going to keep all of them. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to move them up to this view. I think that's all my dimensions. Yes. So pull this out like so. Move this out like so. Actually, maybe it'd be better if I go like this. I can pull this in a little closer. And this is to my center. So actually, I'm going to need to show my axis here, it looks like. So let's go annotate, show model annotations, dimension. Pick this view. We're going to need an axis for that hole. We're going to need the axis for the center here. I hit OK. I kind of click over here. Move this out of the way. And pick this axis and drag it all the way through the object. Actually, this should probably be up here, just so it goes less than halfway across the view. Drag this up. So, alright, this view is probably going to get a little messy. If I need to, I'll project another top view. No problem. So, next one, dimension, hole number 1. So, let's see, I have a depth, and I have 2 diameters. Okay, I'll move my depth over here so I can see it pretty well. Pull my diameters out. Okay, and this is a counterbore for this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into dimension text. Oops, sorry. I'm going to go into this one. And what I can do is I can look at the number of the dimension. This is D43. This one's D41. So I can go into the dimension text here. I can say counterbore and D41. 41. 43. Sorry. And you can see it absorbs that dimension in there. And then I can put a depth symbol and D41. And I'll put that in right there, just like that. And actually, I probably should have space there. Apparently, it wants the space. So we'll do that. Put space there. It's supposed to be a lowercase, I believe. Yeah. Okay. And then go like that, and now I can get rid of those other 2 dimensions, selecting both and hitting delete. Now I've got my dimension for that hole. Okay, next feature is we'll move on to the next set of holes. So that was hole number 1. Remove those dimensions. Hole number 2 is this guy up here. So we'll pick that, and actually before I forget, we have some limit dimensions in here as well. So for this 1.249, we actually have to change a few things about it. Alright, sorry about that. I had to have a little, had to pause it for a moment. So what we need to do is add a limit dimension to this dimension right here. As you can see right now, I can't adjust my tolerance. So there's a few things I have to change. One is if I go File Options, Configuration Editor, make sure that you have tolerance display set to yes. If you don't, you just hit add tol_display, and then change it to yes, and hit OK, and hit OK. And the next thing we're going to go File, Prepare, Drawing Properties, and we're going to change the detail options. So once that pops up, you're going to go in here. We're going to again type tol_display. You type tol display, and as you can see, a value of no is going to come up. You're going to switch that to yes, hit add change, and OK. And then close, and then make sure to save your drawing as well. And actually, when you save your drawing, what's going to happen is it's going to jump to that formats folder we just opened. So just click working directory over here, and then hit OK. And that'll save it in our working directory. So once we do that, that means we can select this guy. We can switch it. I had already switched it earlier. But you're going to select it, go up to tolerance, switch it to limits. And this is actually a 4-place dimension, I believe. No, it is a 3-place dimension. So our tolerances are going to be 1.250 for the top, and the bottom will be 1.247. Alright, and then we have that limit right there. Okay, so now we can move on to the other holes. We just put this one in here as well. This one's also a limit dimension. So we're going to go up here, switch it to limit. Is a 3-place, and it's the same numbers as last time. 1.250, 1.247. Alright, and for this one I'm also going to drag it over, right click, switch the arrow. Alright, and I think that covers all of our limit dimensions for now. So we'll go Show Model Annotations Dimension. We'll come down to hole number 2. That's what was that one. Hole number 3. That's the ones for over here. Okay. So what we should do is we should probably pick each of these, hit OK, and then hold right click, move them over to this view. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with this one up here. Is that I'm going to click, I'm going to move this over so I can see it really easy. I'm going to take this, because I have a counter bore on here. So this is going to be my counter bore, D55. This is going to be my depth, D53. So I'm going to select this, dimension text, hit enter, counter bore, and D55 was it? Yep. Space, and then an X for and a depth symbol, and D53 was my other one. Your numbers might be different. I'm going to hit OK, and then I also need, so first, before I forget, select both of these and delete them. Then I'll select this one, move it down here maybe, switch it so it's got just the arrow, and then I'm going to switch this one to a limit as well. Our limit to 875, actually that's exactly right, 875 to 873. Okay, and then make sure to fix my arrows if they got messed up like mine. Okay, that's good. Show model annotations. Come down, that was hole 3 I believe, yes. And hole 4 is our pattern for the front. I'm not going to show any of those actually. I'm just going to hit cancel. And I'm going to add in a note for these. And this is going to get a little crammed pretty quickly here. So first thing I noticed I need to fix from earlier are these extension lines. And I see a good spot to bring it out right here for my thread. So I'm going to go up to note, leader note. I'm going to pick this. I'm going to come down like this. I'm going to middle click, and then I can type. And these holes are 7-16 or 7/16-14 UNC-2B holes. And then actually, what I need to do, I need to middle click to finish that, but I'm going to need to show the dimensions for these holes because I need, so I'll pick these over here. I need this depth right here. So I'm going to pick that, hit OK. And let's see what it says. D61. So pick that, delete, go back into here, go to the end, enter. Actually, I can put it right at the end here. I'm going to put a depth symbol and D61. Looks like it should put that number in for me. Okay. That looks pretty good. So I'll go up here, move on to the next one. These holes, which are these over here, again, I'm going to need this depth. But these are threads, so I'm going to put a note in again. So this one is D77. I'll just delete that and remember that. D77. Move this one out of the way. Go to leader. Nope. Click here. Middle click. Notice I'm trying to get the arrow to point to the center. That's very important. So these ones up here are 3/8-16 UNC, all capitals, -2B. And there's a depth symbol and D lowercase 77. Ooh, and before I forget, there's 2 of them as well. So 2 times. I'm going to drop this down to the next line like so. Same with this one. 2 times. Do the same thing just for consistency. And the advantage of absorbing that is now I can actually click that dimension and edit it, or if I edit it in my model, it will automatically update. So now I'll go back over here. Hole number 7 is the one on the top. That is also a threaded hole. And it goes all the way through, so I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to come up here, add in my leader node again. Pick this up like so. This is going to be 3/8-16 UNC-2B and through. Okay. And then I have one more, which is my hole pattern for my extrude. I'm actually going to show it up here. So all I did was I just went show model annotation, selected that. So I've got a big mess here of how this is dimensioned. So I'm actually going to show you a little trick. I'm going to turn all these on. Looks like a good place for that. So like I said earlier, I need to pick a corner for all of these. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up our part. I'm going to select that and edit it. Right click, edit our sketch. And I'm going to pick a corner. And the corner I'm going to pick, just verify before I do that. The corner I want to pick is probably this one down here, because this is where everything else is based off of. So again, edit it, the sketch. Alright, and that corner I was pointing to was this one down here. So here's what I'll do. I have all those dimensions showing. I'm going to pick this dimension. I'm going to hit replace. I'm going to add a dimension from here to here. That's good. I'm going to pick this dimension, replace, add a dimension from here to here. Good. And that should be good. I only really have one hole that's out of place, so I'm going to hit OK. Hit OK again. Save it. Close it. Now you can see my dimension move for me. Which is pretty good. But I need a little bit more room, so I think I'm going to just shift this over a tiny bit. Shift this over. And you want to shift it down a little. So I'll just fine-tuning stuff and move these out together. Move this one out. Yeah, it's starting to look okay. Alright, I'm going to pull this one way out. Pull this one over here. Make sure I have a big enough gap where you can tell the dimensions from each other. Pull this one over here. This one there. Don't need this one, so I'm going to delete it. And for this one, I'm going to say 2 times with a space. This one is not 2 times. These I can pull down to the bottom. It's fine. This one's going to come out of the bottom as well. Okay, and I'll select both of these dimension text 2 times for both of them. And I'll select both of these as well. I'm going to drag this down. Now I need to show some axes, so I'm going to go show datum. Hit the plane, or hit the view. Turn all these on. Hit OK. Fix that one after. So I'll pick these, bring them right up to that. Click. Pick just this one. Bring that down. Same with these. Bring these out like so. Just this guy. Bring this one out. Now this one's going to be a little bit of a problem. So I can do what I did earlier. You can pull this out. And I'll just pull these in a way where they're not going to be in the way. And then for this, I'm going to select this, right click, insert break. Breaks can go from there to there. If I want to, I can even do like this sort of thing to really make it obvious. I kind of like it in the center. Alright, and you can also edit those breaks. If I pick that, I can drag these in like so. Make it a little clearer. Bring this out. Bring this out. Alright. Now the only thing I have left to do is fix this dimension, which I'm going to go like so. And then for the text, I'm going to say 4 times, and then for the post text, through. And I just need to drag this around, flip my arrows, go like that, make it a little easier to see. And then the last thing I have is just all my rounds, and I'm actually going to cover all those with a note. So I'll go back up to note, unattached note, come down here, and try and line up the left side of it with the left side of my table. Then middle click, say notes, put a colon, hit enter. 1, remove all burrs and sharp edges. 2, unless otherwise specified, all fillets and rounds. Ooh, next line. Rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, just 3. Rounds are 1, 2. Middle click. Put that maybe a little bit higher, just to give a little space. Okay. That looks like a pretty good drawing, minus the GD&T, stuff like that. I'm just kind of looking to see if there's anything I want to move around. It's all just fine-tuning stuff at this point. Okay, so you can hit that, save, and you have yourself a nice drawing of our automatic stop box.